Brayshaw takes a beauty.
That's it. I'm growing a beard this week.
Thank you. Time back on. That's rough craft, big boy.
All right, we're fresh. We've had some time off. We thought about doing another Zoom podcast, but I just didn't want you in your PJs in your bed again.
And that's exactly what you would have got.
Yeah.
Undeniably. So, good call.
It wasn't because we lost to Connor. We didn't crack the sads and throw the toys out with the...
Our detractors will say...
Can you help me out with that sentence?
Throw the toys out of the cot.
Toys out of the cot. Or the baby out of the
bathwater.
Yep.
Could have gone with either.
Yeah, could have gone with that. I actually almost said toys out of the bathwater.
That would have been
disappointing. Anyway, Gus and Gawny, we're back.
We're back. We're back for episode number 29. I'm going
You're still
with
counting.
Strong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. People do. People count.
And we're fresh off a win.
We are.
Which is quite handy that we've come back after a win. But we did do a podcast post the Adelaide loss.
And we were going to do one after Collingwood let the record show. But Neil Danaher came and spoke to us. It was Wednesday lunchtime. Yep. So that was when we were going to record that. And obviously, we're sort of weighing things up, and it's Neil Danaher and MND, or it's our podcast. And I think we made the right choice in the end. And listened to Neil and Ben, his son, talk to us for a bit, which was...
How does Neil think about you not wanting to raise money for MND?
So we had a good chat, Neil and I. And... yeah, look, we ironed a few things out, and we have an announcement to make soon, the coming week, with exactly how much money we've raised. And I think
it's amazing when people are out of office with COVID. There's just the numbers are struggling to get to our desk.
Yeah, exactly. So we're still waiting on them. Don't worry for those people who've listened to all the wild promises I've made in this space, but that'll come. So I said, look, Neil, we've got a little bit. It's coming around. Hopefully, you can forgive me, and he did. That was not my best moment. That's money for MND.
Still many people tagging you in Positive Lingers tops and hashtags, and is it still a thing?
It's a movement.
It's still a movement?
You'd be surprised. I'd say in the teens, the number of people who've said, can I please have a Positive Lingers shirt?
Yeah, right.
But there's none left unless we do another release, which is, a potential, but that's taken off. The cups, we've got cup news tonight, today, sorry.
We've got cup news?
Yeah, we've got a cup date coming later in the podcast.
I see what you did there.
That's an Angus Brayshaw little brain nugget, but we've got some of that coming later.
It's an Angus Brayshaw brain nugget.
Yeah, it's a little nugget of gold that's come from my brain. Little cup date. So that'll come later on.
That'll be a regular segment from now on. Just a little brain nugget.
A little brain nugget. I've been taking my Keep Cup out around the streets of Elwood, and the little sunflower where I go to get my hot chocolate. They love it. They've seen all sorts of Keep Cups. They haven't seen Positive Lingers yet. So I think hopefully now that we've got a few to give out today, people will start, getting on board a bit more.
Did you see our man having a Keep Cup in the crowd up in the Queen's birthday?
Our boy, Hamish Blake, if you're listening, you've done wonders for the brand. Raised it. Up one arm up in the air.
Do you reckon he actually listens, or he just told us he listened just to humour us?
If you're listening, Hamish Blake, message Gawny about brain nuggets. And then if you don't get a message in a week, then he doesn't listen.
Well, when's this out? Let's say tomorrow.
Yeah. If he doesn't know what a brain nugget is, you could call him on tomorrow night and say, what's a brain nugget? If he doesn't know, he's called out. But
I got some genuine feedback about my top 10 comedy movies.
Yep.
That was our last episode, I'm pretty sure.
It was.
No, not many fans for Johnny English.
Look, I'm a huge Rowan Atkinson fan, so I would say I'm not against him being represented in the top 10, and Johnny English makes me laugh. So I've got no problem with it, mate. And you know what? It's your list.
Yeah, it is. And
who cares what everyone else thinks?
There's two of the funniest scenes I think I've ever watched.
The funeral scene?
One is in Johnny English.
Is it the one where he's at the funeral?
No, the one when he lands on the wrong building. The
hospital building. Yeah. What about when he follows the car to the...
The funeral's pretty funny as well. And then the other scene is one of my other top 10 movies is 22 Jump Street, where Schmidt works out that he had relationships with the captain's daughter.
Yeah.
They're easily...
PG podcast, Max. So
PG, well, I said relationships, so I'm sure you reiterating the point is probably worse, to be fair.
Yeah, fair call.
Essendon. Yeah, we won. 11 points.
Twas.
And it was close the whole game. I think they were in front at half-time, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I just remember Steve May absolutely nailing someone just before the break.
Hams.
Wasn't focused as much on the score. Yeah, Hams. I feel like here we are. I want to go. You may as well just go back into previous episodes because I want to go on repeat. We got challenged the whole time.
Our listeners deserve a non-cliche report of the game from you.
Well, no, it's not. Is it like,
We were challenged and we got back due to our great fearless leader. You say it every time.
Yeah, Rick Lever, who's coming on later. Well, no, because I think Essendon have been the form team in the comp, or at least in the top 2 or 3 over the last couple of months.
Yep.
Like they were running red hot, and especially early. I mean, Stringer got a bit of it early and was looking like starting to break the game open in the first quarter. And they're, what are they? The highest scoring team?
Second.
Second. So I thought...
I'd say Western Bulldogs would probably have...
Yeah, that would be. That's a really good insight from you, Max. But
No
that was a really good 4-quarter team performance. 57 points. We hold teams to that, we can win most games. So, and I loved how we responded under the pressure. Good to be playing in front of a crowd.
Yes, 20,000 just under.
Just under. But it's not the same without a crowd. Get sick of hearing my own voice. I'm barking.
Imagine if we were allowed 85% for that game.
Yeah.
The Bombers fans would have came out.
They were loud, weren't they?
They were really loud, very loud late. I feel like, was there a couple of interesting decisions in the last...
Yeah, there must have been.
There must have been, because I've heard all week. Apparently I got Kale Hooker high. Umpire didn't pay it, but...
And you played well?
Yeah, not too bad. Rucked okay.
How's Draper?
Didn't kick a goal this week. Had four weeks in a row goals.
Yep. Who's counting?
Yeah, Jacko just didn't want to go on the ruck. He wanted me to ruck, so Jacko's starting to call his shots now. He's favourite for the Rising Star, and all of a sudden he's calling the shots.
It could be potentially dangerous, young Jacko. Speaking of Jacko, a few people been keen to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, but he needs a spotter.
Yeah.
He'll need someone with him.
Yeah.
There'll be
a handler. A Jacko handler.
He'll need a handler.
Oh, God.
C. Handler could be that. Chandler.
Could be the handler. The news hound.
The news hound. So we wrapped up Bombers. There was a VFL game as well.
Yeah, the VFL game, much in the same spirit. Ground out the first half. We were sort of close.
It was 1-2-8 v 1-2-8 for majority of the first half, and then we kicked a couple late.
Yeah, then fired up late.
And then Big Brenny, who's a friend of the podcast.
Big friend of ours. 5 snags.
Weedos had 12 marks, I'm pretty sure.
Chunk brought his own Sharon.
He literally brought his own Sharon.
He had 11 in the first quarter. We had Chunk watch going, me and Ooze, and Wheels were sitting there.
No, what do you call him?
Adzi. Call him Adzi. That's just a mean him thing. But Chunk was on fire. Yeah, look, I think 20 VFL?
That's the first time I've only ever seen 2 VFL players play for us.
Jimmy Munners, the crazy Jim.
Jimmy Munro, for those that do know much about Casey, Jimmy Munro is a stalwart of the Casey Demons. Goes back to Casey Scorpions days.
He was a Scorpion.
He was a Scorpion. He got his Scorpion.
What's better, Cup Date or Scorpion? I actually really like that, Max. That was good from you.
Trained none of us 1 year, Jimmy Munro.
So?
I think he won the 2K time trial. And then we went with Declan Kilty. And Mitch White, who is the captain of Casey, also played as well. Which means Jack Hutchins, who's one of the stalwarts of Casey Demons.
You've stalwart twice now. Feel free to diversify.
Now, diversify.
You have to know what that word means. You have to know what that word means.
Yeah, I know. So diversity, but diversify. I just didn't know. I've never used diversify. I'd somehow work diversity into the sentence.
Okay, well, get more diversity in your
I'd say it like that.
Okay, well, there you go.
That's all right.
You've learned something new.
Do we want to do... actually, just quickly.
Sure.
Clayton Oliver played his 100th game in a row on the weekend. That's incredible because he tapes every part of his body. Like he's
held together.
Monday to Wednesday, he's broken.
Yeah, so you've got it as well. I've noticed, and this is going to be really graphic and disgusting for listeners, but if you tape your feet so much that all the fibres of your socks stick to your toenails, they turn black.
We'll put my toes up on Insta.
We're not going to put any photos of toes up.
We'll put my toes up.
Okay, we're going to take a photo of Max's feet, and Clary's feet look like they're gangrenous and they're about to fall off. That's how much gunk he's got on there from all the tape sticking to him.
Unbelievable the amount of times that I've gone into the day before a game and they're going, Clayton, we're bringing in a carryover emergency because Clayton's a bit sore. He's played 100 in a row. He's got up every single one
and
of them.
And that's good mail from you as well. I didn't know that.
There was another 100. Goodwin.
Yeah, he coached 100 games in a row.
Coached 100 games.
In a row.
And I've played 148 and I'm thinking, Goodwin's been my major coach. I thought Roosie was for some reason, but...
Paul Roos. There you go.
Goodwin, I played most of my games under Goodwin. I'm almost like Luke Hodge and Clarko. I feel like I need a new coach already. Sorry, I didn't say that.
You did,
Sorry,
and we're a
Simon.
no-cut podcast, one take, so you'll hear that,
I'm
obviously.
very happy with Simon. We get along very well. Mornington Peninsula boys, although he's starting to stay up in his apartment in South Yarra a bit more.
There's some more feedback for you, Goody, if you're listening.
We got another 100 coming up, though.
Yeah. Wow.
300s in a row here. What's the... This one's close to our heart.
This is my heart. Forget being close to it. It's Ed Langdon's 100th game next week.
Yeah, shares it with
Am
my
I honest?
150.
Is this even worth speaking about now?
That's right. We'll talk about next
I've got
week.
big things planned for him next week.
Well, I'm just not sure if you're going to show up to the podcast next week. That's why we had to have this one off.
I'm not sure. That's a drive-by, unwarranted drive-by, Max.
That's all right. What did you do for your bye?
I played a bit of golf.
Did you? How many rounds?
5.
Yep.
5 rounds. Back to back on day one. Then had
Well,
a
that's
day
the
off.
thing. One of our days was in isolated.
Yeah. So I didn't play golf that day.
So you had 3 days, 5 rounds.
I mean, everyone's laughing at you, Max, because I think you meant to say in isolation.
And what did I say?
I don't go.
In isolating.
In isolate. Anyway, I played 3 games of golf in the first 3 days, and then we had one day off, and then came back on the weekend for another couple.
Okay.
Handicap came in to 9.3. I know
Yep.
everyone's keenly listening for my handicap updates, and that was about it, really. Went out for dinner with Maisie and Harmsy one night after a game of golf.
Oh, yeah, I saw plenty of
knee.
Snapchats on that one.
Yep, so that was good fun. Did a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Reading a book about golf at the moment, funnily enough.
How are we going with book club?
Terribly. Well, actually, no, you're going terribly because I bet you haven't read it.
Well, no one's asked for my review on the book.
Have you read it? I bet. Anyway.
I've got a page that I think no one could find that I found that on Google.
Yeah. Well,
Like, you go to page 7 of Google searches.
Yeah.
Then I've got the comprehension report on this book. And I feel like no one's going to be able to know
well,
that.
the month's coming up. So Ed was, I think it's his book that he's recommended. I think he, wishfully was like, if I give people a bit more time, they'll read it and then I won't feel as bad about picking a dud. But, the month ends in a couple of days' time. So, we're going to have the monthly dinner. That's when we're going to wrap it up and talk about the book. And I suspect it'll be Ed, Vines, and myself with any real report. Yours doesn't count, I don't think.
Okay.
What did you do? Sorry?
Oh, yeah. I did nothing. I spent some time with my wife.
Tick?
Yep, tick.
How's the Jura de Blablia?
It's the Tour de France now. Giro de Blabia is over.
Yep.
We're on to the Tour de France.
When does that start?
It's stage 3 last night, so stage 4 tonight. So by the time this podcast comes out, it's stage 5 tonight.
Hey, who's winning?
Mathieu Van der Poel.
And who's king of the hill at the moment?
King of the Mountains, polka dot jersey is a guy with the... Oh, wow, I'm not going to get his name. Gesling? And the sprint jersey is Julian Alaphilippe.
My mate.
Name that probably rings a bell for you.
Alaphilippe, my boy.
Just before we go to Gibbo with the news, I'm sure he's going to be talking hubs. There's potential hubs.
Has to be. So here you go, hot off the press. My brother is flying into Melbourne this afternoon from Fremantle.
Geez, the Fremantle media manager won't like that being
There you go.
broken on our
right
podcast.
here, right now. So,
it wasn't broken on the Monday and what's his, who is it?
No,
the jock
what
and
is it?
sock?
The old and bull, and it's the young bull and the old calf or something. No one listens to it.
They're not
But
broken.
there's some news broken now. So look, it's all happening in the hub front. We might as well just get him in
We'll
now.
save that for Gibbo. I just want to do one thing.
Sure.
And this might be a long part. So
Happily. I've got time. It's
my
our podcast.
My favourite show at the moment. So Jess and I live a pretty boring life. We cook. We managed to get our dinner out at around 5:45.
I don't mind an early dinner.
Yeah, every night, because about 5:30 we feel hungry, and dinner is always just steak and veggies, bang, done. It's on the background. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Oh, Hot Seat. Sorry, every time.
Okay.
And Hot Seat's boring for the first 20 minutes, but then it gets good when it's back to the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type setup. But you can pass. You can pass now. Anyway, I've won $1 million 9 times in the last 2 months.
Now, James Harms came on once and mentioned max tax. Do you remember max tax?
No, 9 times in the last. Think about that. 2 months. There's 5 shows a week.
So I'm not saying
There's
that there
4
hasn't
weeks,
been 9
20
shows.
There's 40 shows.
Is that including your contract signing?
I was bringing you on. I was bringing you on soon.
I don't like to butt in usually, but I wanted to there.
No, my contract is nowhere near $1 million. Jay Clark.
Let's not get that skeleton out of the closet. I'm not arguing that there hasn't been that many shows. I'm saying that maybe you haven't won $1 million 9 times. Would be
9 times.
Okay.
But the day I go on the show will be the day they ask me about the Queen's cousin in the 1910.
Naturally.
So, naturally. But you're a trivia nerd.
Yeah.
Now, what I did is I took some notes from last Friday's hot seat.
Okay.
And I want to see how far you can go.
All right. I'm
if
happy.
You can get $1 million, because I got $1 million not on this day. This day I lost.
Okay. So you've picked a hard one for me, which I appreciate.
But you're a trivia nerd.
I am. Well, I should be. I can't say my team.
I'll give you one phone a friend, and it's Gibbo.
Gibbo.
All right. You ready for question 1 for $100?
Sure. Probably gonna get cut out. Yeah, I'm ready.
In the UK, the abbreviation NHS stands for National What Service? A, humanity, B, health, C, honour, D, household.
My initial reaction was to say health, so I'm going to lock that in.
Just be 2 seconds because I haven't got the answers handy.
Jeez. Is this how it goes on hot seat, is it? National Health Service, that's my guess.
Sorry, my phone just turned off. The answer is B.
Health.
National Health
So
Service.
$100.
Right, $100. Ready for question 2?
Yep.
Which Disney character famously leaves a glass slipper behind?
Cinderella. You don't even need to read them out for me. That's Cinderella.
Okay, $200.
I'm $200 richer.
What name is given to the revolving belt machinery and in an airport that delivers checked luggage from the plane to the baggage reclaim? A, hangar, B, terminal, C, concourse, D, carousel.
Carousel.
Well done, Angus.
So I'm $400. These are gimmies.
For $500.
500.
Which of these brands were chiefly associated with the manufacture of household locks? A, Phillips, B, Flimmo, C, Chubb, or D, Ronzeal?
Chubb.
Hold on 2 seconds.
Chubb's a security brand. I'm almost. If it's not Chubb, then
Question 4?
$500 worth of Chubb.
Is C, Chubb.
Yep.
Well done. For $1,000, the hammer and sickle is one of the most recognisable symbols of which political ideology?
Communism. Have you worked that in there just for me, or is that?
The answer is communism. Well done, $1,000.
Wow. You can't cut that one out.
And then after $1,000, it goes doo, 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 and the lights sort of dim.
Okay.
Now I'm not really sure what level. Does it go to 2,000? Anyway, I'll make it up. We'll get to $1 million. What toys have been marketed with the phrase robots in disguise? A, Bratz dolls. B, Sylvanian families.
I know it's not that, just the way you read it.
C, Hatchimals. D, Transformers.
It certainly isn't B. I'm going to go with Transformers.
Work your way through it.
Transformers D. I haven't heard of the first three. Bratz dolls seems like a not mechanical thing. I think Transformers has to be it.
And the answer is D, Transformers. It's not set up for anyone at home that's wondering this might be set up. It's not Slumdog Millionaire going on here.
It's not Slumdog Millionaire.
What does the word loquacious mean?
Loquacious.
Loquacious. Loquacious or loquacious?
Loquacious. Loquacious.
Loquacious.
If you've seen...
A, angry, B, chatty, C, beautiful, D, shy.
So if anyone has seen Inglourious Bastards...
Can you say that?
Inglourious Bastards with...
Well, you said it twice now, so might as well.
There's a scene in the when they're in a basement, and Brad Pitt says to this other guy something about being loquacious. So what are the four again, please?
A, angry, B, chatty, C, beautiful, or D, shy.
A, angry, loquacious.
Lock it in.
Locked.
Incorrect.
Is it D, shy?
Question 7. The answer is B, chatty.
There you go.
So you would have lost out at $2,000. That's disappointing, isn't it? We're all going really well then. I'm just saying how hard it actually is, and I've won it 9 times. And you lost to loquacious. You've been trying to teach me English
you don't
for
even
29 segments, and you've lost to loquacious. Even I knew it was chatty.
Oh, yeah, I bet you did.
Inglorious Bastards.
Inglorious Bastards, that's a great movie. You can watch the scene. So
yeah, well, it's not a great movie. It makes me think loquacious is angry.
Well, so there. Yeah, okay. Look, watch the scene, and I was taking a stab in the dark, but
Wasn't a gold nugget, was it?
It's not a brain nugget.
No.
Brain nugget.
What's the jingle?
Oh, see,
It's Benny Gibson.
He's loquacious. No, sorry, I haven't moved past it yet. That's on me.
That's where we're at the moment, Ben. I'm sorry.
I actually think it's probably been one of your strongest starts to a podcast.
Is that so?
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear and feedback.
We've
please.
actually
we love hearing.
We've
feedback.
been quite loquacious.
We have been.
Yeah.
Jeez, you're never going to give that up. I'd love to hear the listeners.
You lost at $2,000. They give it to people to get to $2,000.
You could let's be clear about this. You couldn't pronounce the word that you were trying to tell me to define. So don't get off that high horse.
From Gold Coast.
Lukosius.
He's chatty.
I'd love to hear if they liked that because I had a good. We all enjoyed that.
Just don't go on hot seat, mate.
All right, Max.
So you're talking hubs, obviously Fremantle coming down, Gold Coast, Brisbane coming down as well. So a little bit ironic that 2 weeks ago we had to play in Sydney and now everyone's going to be playing in Melbourne. I don't know if you've got any insight, but I'm interested to see where they're all going to stay. Where are the hotels in Melbourne that are maybe Casey Fields? There's some housing around here. Any insight where Fremantle?
Well, fun fact, when the Sydney VFL team played here against Casey, they stayed at the Springvale Motor Inn.
And that's fun. Luxury? For what reason?
So,
the Springvale
is Sydney
Motor Inn.
potentially at the Springvale Motor Inn, or
could be?
No, they've got the best. They're on Chapel, Sydney.
Yeah, so Freo stayed there last time as well at the Olsen.
So maybe they're sharing it.
Could be.
Como, Olsen.
They were at Como the time before that. Olsen.
Okay.
So I reckon they'll get some action.
GWS in the city. Don't know where the other teams are.
Yeah, that's all my mail.
Before we get into more footy, the big announcement that we would have had last week that's been pushed back to this week is that Zurich, not only a friend of the podcast, but
huge friends, by the way.
They are the podcast.
Has signed a 2-year contract extension with the club.
With Gus and the club.
With the club, which...
We're yet to work out our finer
well,
details.
we were thinking 4 years with Zurich, weren't we? So
that's going to be a wrinkle in our negotiation. But,
interesting.
That's good news for the club.
Yeah, I think potentially the podcast may have got them over the line.
They do great insurance.
No, they've been a great sponsor. They've been there through some bad times, and now hopefully they get to be there through the team playing some good football. And the next 2 years, it's handy to keep a sponsor through this period that everyone's going through with COVID, and Zurich have been very loyal to us. So very excited to have them on, and hopefully Gus and Gawny get a little bit of the pie.
Yeah, well, let's not speak too soon. We've got a few things in the works on the corporate front, so once they're ready to drop, we'll let everyone know. But yeah, great news for Zurich. Great friends of ours.
Yep.
Another bit of club news. The club is selling the Bentley Club. So
interesting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Divesting out of the gaming sector, which is good. A morally defensible position.
Yeah, I grew up in Bentley. I grew up in McKinnon, near Bentley. And I donated some money to the Bentley Club at times, so I was putting money towards the club. Obviously, it went via the TAB.
Yep.
But I did.
We don't condone.
No, we don't condone it.
No,
certainly not.
Yeah, and I did some lawn bowls there in the back.
Yeah.
It's a great little area. Cale Morton, fun fact, lived next door to the Bentley Club.
That is another fact that isn't particularly fun that you've gone with.
Well,
but
the podcast listeners would love a Cale Morton story.
Jeez. Okay, well, there's some more feedback to give us.
You used to get past players.
Yeah, I did do that, didn't I?
Cale Morton
we used to get supporters on, and then one supporter sort of had a go at us, didn't they?
Well, yeah, because you promised to follow him back, and then you didn't.
Oh, yeah, Jimmy Plunkett. Plunk will be listening.
100%.
He's a loyal fan.
And in fact, I think I said I'd enforce it and be sure to enforce it.
I liked his tweet the other day.
But you don't follow him?
No, I think I followed him back.
Okay. Well, we'll fact check that. What else you got for us, Gibbo?
A little story out of the game. Obviously, Jake Lever, fantastic performance on Saturday night. We've got him on the podcast. He won the coffee machine for best on ground according to Channel 7.
Yep.
Stephen May got the 10 coaches' votes, which means in the eyes of both coaches, he was best of field. Lever got 4 votes, and you got 4 votes as well, which means one of the coaches voted for you and one voted for Rick. There's
no other mathematical
possibility.
Yeah.
I would have got the Essendon one.
You reckon?
Yeah, because Maisie and Jake have been well supported in-house in a lot of our voting, trademarks, and Choco does a little thing in the Monday meeting where he presents who he thinks the best players were, and I think they were Jake and Steve. So I dare say Ben Rudden liked me a little bit better than you like Jake.
All right. Gus, you actually got 3 votes as well, so...
That could...
Does it look like a 3 flat or a 2 and a 1?
There were 2 others that got 3, so you could have got a 2 and a 1, or you could have got 3.
Yeah,
what would you like better?
Clary and Zach Merritt, the other options.
Would you like one coach thinking you were good and one coach thinking you were no good, or 2 coaches thinking you were okay?
I think I'd rather 2 coaches, just as a general rule. 2's probably a better than 1, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean you are asking someone who should know because I've won the award in 2018.
I think that's consecutive weeks that you've mentioned that. I like it.
Well, it's funny that we're doing the podcast where we are, because if you look behind Angus, there, 2014 Casey Scorpions, best and fairest, M. Gawny. What
See,
it doesn't say
I
is...
never had that.
It should say
2015
brackets.
Aiden Riley.
Yeah, big names.
Yeah.
What it should say in brackets is 8 games.
There you go.
Yeah, got 10 votes in every
I
game.
never played 8 games VFL in a year, but
You got
that's-
knocked
that's for
out
some
every
people.
time you played in the VFL.
Yeah, well, that's probably half the reason, Ben. Thanks for the insight.
You should have.
What do you
Sorry. Remember the year we picked Corey Maynard instead of you round 1?
Oh.
And you won the Brownlow.
You tagged that.
And he almost won the Brownlow.
Jeez, I didn't ever think we'd
There
come
was
to
some
this
feedback
point.
for you.
I didn't think we'd ever get to this point there in this
Hey,
one.
it's
but
good
yeah,
pre-season.
I never look at Goody the same after that. It cost me the Charlie, but
Some other names up there: Brad Miller, Tom Couch, Jesse Hogan.
Hogs.
Yeah, could play him this week if he gets picked. Do we do our match committee?
You can do match committee if you like.
I'm going no change Melbourne,
I'm going to get controversial and say no change Melbourne.
and I'm going S Mumford in.
Let's go Jay Hogan in as
Jay
well.
Hogan in, and Taylor in, but I don't know who's going out.
Yeah, they'd probably make some changes.
Presumably one of
coming
the
off
other
a loss
rucks.
to
They're not going
Hawthorn.
to go 3 rucks, I don't think. But
Okay. Anything else, Ben?
Yeah, well, I've stumbled across a few things on Christian Petrarca's social media recently. One,
he's friends with Jordan De Goey. Who knew that?
that was yeah.
Sorry, not
I was
steal you then.
I was
Sorry.
very surprised
Yeah.
when I saw that, but that's great. Friends across clubs is fantastic.
Yep.
He's got a sponsorship with Red Bull.
He does.
Red Bull, a friend of the podcast. If Darren Burgess is a friend of the podcast,
Did you like Stephen May's comment on that? Very
what was
funny.
his comment?
You don't need Red Bull, mate. He doesn't. He does not need Red Bull.
Yeah, there's one bloke who doesn't need extra energy to get. He's already got wings.
Were you going with the energy or the incentives of?
Oh, both work. Yeah,
Yeah.
well done. I wasn't
your
thinking of
pick.
incentives, but yeah, he doesn't need the cash either.
The other thing that obviously got a little bit of traction was his interaction with Joel Embiid. So I don't know how
Bit of
into
traction.
the NBA you are. but
Surely he knew.
that
He
was gonna
reckons
get
that
picked up by
he didn't
7
do it
AFL.
to get traction. Mate, you've just potted someone and defended your mate,
So
and you're one of the marketable players in the AFL. You're going to get traction.
Puts it up, 7 AFL steal it, track deletes it.
Did he delete it?
Yeah, he deleted
Oh,
it.
he gets so nervous. Doesn't he?
Yeah, okay, we'll have to sort
Any
that.
word on a response potentially?
I bet it hasn't really popped up on Joe. Joel's got a radar, I'm sure, but it wouldn't have popped up on his radar. Speaking of social media radars, Gibbo, it's interesting you bring that up because that's something that came across my desk of yours as well.
Right.
So you've got a website. Didn't know that.
I do have a website.
You got one. What is Ben? For those who are interested, it's Ben, all lowercase, bengibsonmedia.weebly.com. Tell us a bit about that. Powered by Weebly.
Powered by Weebly. So when I was in uni, I thought I'd like to put together a bit of a folio.
Yeah, smart.
Potential employers could have
Yep.
a look at the work that I've done.
So do you think Melbourne potentially looked at the Weebly?
I mentioned it in my job interview.
Yep.
There you
Gave
go.
them the opportunity to look at my work, and so now,
Yep.
I'm not saying that I'm leaving the club, but
Yep.
keep it updated in case.
So what sort of stuff do you have on there? As in if I go to your Weebly,
This
that's
is a
not-
slow build, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm ready for
So
a
you've
whack,
gone to your
whatever it
Weebly.
is. I've
What's
got
like?
links to articles that I've written, some
Yep.
interviews that I've done,
Which are all great.
podcasts.
They're all great.
Yeah.
podcasts.
Podcasts. That's an
So-
interesting one.
Yeah. Look, that's ultimately what we're here to speak about. So your podcast, your podcast, the
It's
Lil and
Lily
Ben, the Lil and Ben
So
podcast.
he's obviously then put Lil and Ben down.
Yeah, well, if you click on the link to the podcast,
I think what you'll find for those who are interested on where this is going, we've been talking a lot about Weebly. On his podcast, the bit where he's plugging
He's
his
got Gus
podcast,
and Gawny with
he's-
himself, a
he's
caricature of
caricatured himself
in the
into the Gus and Gawny podcast. In the middle of, feel free to zoom right in on that, Steph. So you've got that, and I'm just wondering.
I did bring this up on the earlier podcast. That,
I've never heard Weebly in my entire life before this.
I brought this graphic up on an earlier podcast. Sports Berserk. He drew that up, and I
didn't
thought
know you'd use it.
I thought
So
potentially
your
we should,
podcast, you've got a podcast which you've shoehorned your name into, and you've decided to go with the photo of us.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
I thought it was a
Clickbait.
great website until I dropped down to the podcast.
Oh god, how's
Oh,
Lil
you've done
feel?
some
I'm
great
actually
work.
surprised that anyone has actually clicked on that website.
I found it somewhere. I think I found it. You tweeted me about
Yeah.
cricket, and then I went on your profile.
And how does Lil feel about the emission?
I haven't spoken to Lil about my personal website portfolio, and I don't think she'd be too worried about it.
I think she'd be flat.
I think she'd be flat that Lil and Ben's not there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just a little
Thanks
thing
for
for you,
bringing
Gibbo.
it
Okay.
There you go, mate.
Back onto my news.
Yep.
So this isn't really news, but I wanted to talk about your Twitter and what I stumbled across, sponsoring Corey Wagner again down at Port Melbourne.
Yes.
I like that, just keeping it flowing.
I went down to do a photo shoot for a non-affiliated brand that we don't talk about down at Port Melbourne, and the headquarters of Port Melbourne were working and decided to bring out a sheet of paper saying, you get a photo with this because I sponsored Corey. Cost me an arm and a leg as well, and I get to go to one function. I think I'm a member as well, so I don't have to pay at the door.
Well, that's good. You don't have to anyway.
I haven't been to a game, and us members of Port Melbourne are quite frustrated by the COVID rules not being able to get to games. And there's a ballot system because only 1,000 can go, and I've sacrificed my ballot spot for someone else.
Good on you.
Corey's actually playing really well. He actually got the best on medal in the Port Melbourne Williamstown game on the weekend.
Good on him. Good friend of ours. Technically probably
No, he hasn't
not.
been on the podcast, I don't think. Good friend of ours, though.
Friend?
Yeah.
A friend?
Friend,
Not
just not on the podcast.
Just a quick one on the cricket. Obviously, New Zealand Test champions. You'll be very pleased with that. Do you think it should have been a best of 3?
No, we're the number one team in the world, and I think that got showed.
That got showed.
Yeah,
My goodness.
We showed them. No, look, the conditions suited New Zealand. I reckon the top Test team should be able to pick the neutral venue. So India should have been able to pick Dubai or Sri Lanka or something like that, where it'd be a bit harder for New Zealand, but worked out in our favour and we'll swing it. We also had 2 tests beforehand with England to really warm up. So they were in our favour, but they were impressive.
Last thing I've got is on the Keep Cups, potentially a segue for you, Gus, because we've got some winners today. But
No, we'll choose that segment at our
you
own
leave
time.
the podcasting to us.
I actually was going to do it post this. Now I'm going to stand up.
From a moral perspective.
We're going to do it later with Jake.
Anyway, nonetheless, I did find a box of the 50 on Matt Goodrope, our media manager's desk, and you floated a few numbers by me, 37, 42.
Yeah. What did you take?
So I did take a...
Oh, he's taken one.
So
I'll be upset if it's a single figure.
If you went 2, you got 3. I went number 4. So it's great to have my positive Lingers Keep Cup. I'll be making sure I drink some coffee or something. I'm not a big coffee man, but put that to use at some point.
Great work, Ben.
Good on you, Benny. Thief.
We'll go to a break.
Let's break it up.
Thanks to our co-principal partner and podcast sponsor, Zurich Insurance. For over 100 years, they've been insuring the people and things you truly love. And just like you, they truly love footy and they truly love the D's.
Welcome back to Gus and Gawny podcast, vodcast. What other streaming services we go in? Do we go on the Weebly?
Weebly, yeah, we'll be on Weebly soon. This episode brought to you by our good friends at Zurich.
Zurich are great friends, hoping for a little bit of a longer partnership for us, maybe 4 or 5 years. Barbie Onions.
Barbie Onions, we've got squash. We obviously have our friends at East End Wine Bar.
Yep, another one coming. Name yet to be released, but
Fair enough.
and of course all of our non-affiliated sporting
People
brands.
that sporting brands that obviously we can't mention. We love New Balance. Obviously, is our principal apparel sponsor. But we've got our guest on. Everyone knows who it is. We always do this. It's Rick Lever.
Yep.
And the elephant's in the room.
It's awkward already. I feel
It's
like
already awkward.
Yeah.
I think for this to have any hope of going well, Rick, we just need to get it out there and to just address it straight away. So,
It's almost like how did you
Jeez.
address your game against Asava Radaglia when you first played for Melbourne? Like it's like a similar feeling.
Yep.
Like you were disappointing on that podcast. Would you agree?
I would absolutely agree. Yeah.
Look, for those who don't know, Rick came on in week 2, and that was nearly the end of the whole show.
It almost got back to Gibbo and Lil.
Yeah, it was nearly Lil and Ben. But then I came back. The rest is history. Rick, some learning. Like you're back again. You get another
back.
chance. So that's a good news. You're the third 2-timer, technically.
Behind Nathan Jones and Hamish Blake.
Two pretty good names. But yeah, as you said, it was probably my first game for the footy club. Definitely flashbacks from that coming on the podcast. I went back over it. Thought that, my timing was off with a lot of my entries into my conversations. But look, that's why I'm here. I'm ready to make amends and hopefully, do well.
That's great, isn't it?
I like how we related it to his footy stuff, because you read the game. Obviously, you get your timing wrong a little bit, and then maybe you get caught out defensively. But yeah, mate, look, you've started well. Kind of get that. That was a good answer. That could have gone either way. There, we were in the balance.
Yep.
And you took it well.
Good spoil first up.
Good spoil. Your big, strong spoil out of bounds.
Thanks.
So now we can get the ball rolling.
Yes. Why why is your nickname Rick? So I call you Rick like someone just walking down the road. They go, oh, who you got this week? GWS. Who's going to take Hogan? And I'll go, Rick. And I'll go, who's Rick?
Yeah, look, I get this a lot, especially from, obviously it's just come from the Melbourne Footy
Does
Club.
your family know why? At least?
No, not really. To be honest, Maxi, I actually don't even know why. I think it come from a story of one of the coaches just called me Rick in a meeting while I was sitting down. He's like, what do you reckon about that, Rick? And me being, 3 weeks into the club, I sort of turned around and said, I've never met a bloke named Rick. And he was staring straight at me and I thought, I think he's talking to me. And then everyone had a bit of a laugh about it. And I think for the first training session, it really stuck, but then it went away. But there was one bloke, Tommy Mack, just stuck with it. And then it kind of got to Rick from Romsey, and then it kind of got to, you actually do look like a bit of a Rick. And
you do look like a Rick.
Yeah, that is the common conversation that comes about when I do get introduced as Rick. But it's quite funny. People introduce me as, oh, this is Jake, especially from here. It's like, oh, this is Jake. And then 2 seconds later, they're, oh, Rick, do you want a beer or do you want a coffee or something? And the people that I've just been introduced to, they're like looking around going, are they taking the mickey out of me because you've just introduced me to him as Jake. So, but yeah, I don't really know how it's come about.
Your parents had a miss. Calling you Jake.
Yeah,
Jake.
That's fair. They've had a miss.
Yeah,
Give him the feedback.
I think you suit Rick really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's rich coming from Tommy. Tommy's the man with 25 nicknames.
It's got so
He
many
has so
nicknames.
many nicknames. Like,
Maybe that's why he's
let's
good
see if we
at
can-
making them work.
See if we can run them. T-Mac,
T-Bone,
T-Bone,
T-Bone, Gantz,
Gantz, Arrow,
Lynx,
Lynx,
Lynx, Bow,
Wonder Bow.
He's got more meat ones, doesn't he? Call him Carnivore now, surely.
Yeah, Carnival.
Yeah, now we're just making him up. There's a few that
Yeah, I just made that up.
Probably
Sorry,
we can't,
go
you
to
know.
makeup category, but he does have a lot of nicknames. Macca, anyone call him Macca?
Never called him Macca.
He should be a Macca.
Macca.
McDonald's.
He's on that Macca's ad, and I didn't really appreciate that.
We've got a few boys on ads. Cash converters. Seen Tracks?
Yeah, Tracks.
Tracks on a cash converter.
Tracks on a
ad.
cash
Yes.
converter ad.
I don't watch TV, so no, I haven't seen that. That's
Well, it's actually only on during our games, supposedly.
Well, that's hard for
but
me to
then
watch.
on Thursday night or Friday night when the
What's he converting?
Geelong game,
What's he converting for cash?
he actually got an Xbox. I don't know. He stared down someone and stole the Xbox off a random person in the shop. If that helps.
He's picking things good for his brand. Like cash converters and Red Bull, they just suit each other really well, don't
Yeah, absolutely.
they? They go hand in hand.
Speaking of things that go hand in hand, there's my segue.
Yes.
You and Steve May,
Yes.
in great form.
Do you like each other?
That's what I was interested in because, I slide back pretty hard. And so do you, Max, to be honest, because you run back and take a few marks.
Me, you and Clayton, we tend to be the ones that get back there.
And, Lingers, if we ever get Lingers on, he'd probably say the same. It doesn't seem like you got a bromance. It's weird. You got a bromance that's not a bromance. You know what I mean?
I actually.
Externally, everyone goes May and leave, but internally, we're like, they don't even talk. No, they do.
Yeah, well, I did see a comment after the game. I think one of my mates told me that Maisie did an interview, and I think it might have been Benny Gibson that asked him about the relationship with me, and he just all he said was, "Yeah, it's a pretty funny relationship," and he didn't actually, extend onto that. So I'm still sort of sitting there wondering what's so funny about it. But
You know what show it was? Was it Talking Points?
might have
Lil
been
and Ben?
Talking Points.
Or
Yeah,
Lil and Ben?
it definitely wasn't
got
Lil
two
and
main
Ben.
ones.
Yeah, it wasn't Lil and Ben.
Well, it's a
Yeah,
Talking
it wasn't.
Points. Okay.
It's Talking Points. So, but yeah, me and Maisie, it's funny. Like off the field, if footy wasn't anything, if we weren't involved in the Melbourne Footy Club, I don't reckon we'd be friends. We would have been on the opposite
I
side.
think of that
them,
all
but-
the time. I would never, ever in a million years have come across Nathan Jones.
Yep,
In
absolutely.
a million years.
Or Harmsy.
Yeah, James Hunt, he'd be out here farming
I
chickens.
wouldn't have
still.
popped through Clyde anytime
No,
soon.
you'd think that about. Kay Chandler's the big one. Like,
Well, yeah, he
being
lives in
from
the middle.
Ceduna.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing about footy. I
Yeah.
mean, I've played with people from Townsville, the middle of Australia, the bottom of Tasmania,
Sejuna.
Sejuna. No one from Broome yet, or that area. I know there's a few players that play AFL that are from that
What Toby
northern
was
Western
up?
Australia.
Up northern.
He's Fitzroy Crossings,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
up
kind
north.
of in
I've
that.
played with Toby Bedford, who's from that area. So yeah.
Very good.
Oh God! But anyway, so you two, hardly mates, but
Yep.
you've been in good form. So
Yes.
what's the secret to being the best intercept marking defender in the AFL?
I wouldn't say that, but
who would you say?
Who is it if it's not you?
I'd probably Geez, Maisie's up there at the minute. He's taken a fair few dukes.
Statistically, you've taken more.
Yes, statistically, I've taken
We're
more.
a statistical
yeah,
show.
Yeah. Oh, we are?
We are.
Oh, well, I'm better
We
than
don't
you,
do
mate.
speculation.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
you're better than everyone?
Yeah.
Better than, maybe Liam Jones, I reckon's got me now. Yeah.
Well, he took 40 on the weekend.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
That'll
Taking
do it.
40.
That'll do it. But yeah, me and Maisie, I think just being able to train together and play together for a little bit now. I think what we've been able to do is we speak about it a lot. I think the first 2 years we just ran into each other all the time in the air. And
I was there as well.
yeah, you were there. And then obviously Pets, when he came in, I think his ability to be able to just hold out and know when to go as well. So I think that's probably been the biggest shift for our game. Me and Steve.
That's another one. That's
Pets.
a back line of Darwin, Romsey and Woodner.
Which is further away from Melbourne, Darwin or Romsey?
You catch a flight to both, don't you? Where would you rather be?
Low-hanging
Out of
fruit.
Darwin, Romsey and Woodner. We're not associated with Darwin anymore. We can pot it, can't we?
Oh, geez. Well, if we ever one day make our way back up there, I would hope not. But
We're so NT.
NT.
They're great. Alice Springs,
Yeah,
beautiful.
we love
part of
Alice
the
Springs, friends of ours.
Romsey, not as much.
No, probably not. But he doesn't live in Romsey anymore. He's down the peninsula.
Yes, you're down the Ninch.
The Ninch, which I realised only a few minutes ago is a abbreviation
Well,
for the
only
peninsula.
people from the Ninch say the
Yeah.
Ninch. It's kind of one of those.
You're not from the Ninch either, though. So
Well,
how you figuring that
originally
out?
I
You
was-
just literally said on this podcast, I grew up in Bentley, and then
Originally, I'm
corrected
from
yourself.
Langwarrin, which is
Nowhere near the Ninch.
Is
just there, mate.
It
It's the city
is
of Frankston.
considered, yeah.
The city
Wow.
of... Okay.
So that technically, I originally grew up close to the Ninch, or on the Ninch, whichever way you
No,
look at
not
it.
on the Ninch.
Then I went up for schooling to get a better education for myself up in McKinnon.
That's good education on the Ninch, though, isn't it?
And then I've made my way back down to the Ninch. And you're on the Ninch.
Yes, I am.
And you should be on the Ninch. Sorry. Mount Eliza.
Mount Eliza, beautiful part
Address?
of the world. Address
You don't
just
have
off
to-
the Nepean Highway. No, but geez, it's nice down
One with
there.
the big red door in it.
Yeah, big red door, pool, just onto the beach. There,
Acres.
so, yeah.
On acres.
When are we playing that tennis game?
Don't know.
This is save
I
this
don't have
for
a tennis
anywhere
court.
but the podcast.
Well, he's got that tennis court as well.
Yeah, you can have the tennis court, but we're not talking about your
Because you get
potential. So.
money, value for money down the Ninch.
Okay.
Yes,
That's what we're getting to.
value for money.
So you were up in Hawthorn before?
I was in Kew,
Kew.
Angus, yeah,
All same to me, north
all
of
the
the city.
same. Yep.
But,
But to move down to
Perth.
the beach, yeah.
Forest Waters. What is Forest Crossing?
Fitzroy
Crossing.
Crossing.
Perth, Forest Crossing.
Yeah, Forest Crossing.
From Forest Crossing.
So you're liking it down there, though?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, God's
It's,
country, would you say?
Yeah, I would say God's country. Yeah, I know you speak about God's country a lot.
I throw that around liberally.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, it is beautiful down there.
Jace loving it? Jace loving it?
Jace is loving it. He's got much more space than he had in Kew. We only had, I think, maybe 350 square metres in Kew. Now we're on about 1,200 in Mount Eliza. So it's, yeah, it's quite nice.
Jeez. Do you want to pick up that number you just dropped?
Must be nice.
Must.
Must be nice.
1,200.
What are you on there?
700.
700, is that
Must
it?
be nice.
Smaller block.
Yeah, it's the whole block is house, though.
Oh, you want to talk about my acres as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
I know you don't
acres.
mow it personally,
No,
but
I
it
don't.
is still part of your property.
I get the captain coach of Sereno to. We've become friends, Jake and I.
Drake and I have always been friends.
No, like we do stuff together outside of the club.
So we've done stuff outside the club.
Like what?
Before. Well, we went to New Zealand together. That was
we did.
beautiful.
You did actually.
We had a great time in
Fun
New
trip.
Zealand. yeah.
Porter was there.
We
No, wrong trip.
Oh,
Wrong trip.
God.
Wrong trip.
This
Wrong
guy,
trip.
get with it. We climbed up a mountain together.
Was it my Bucks trip? No, because you didn't come, nor did you.
No. I didn't get an invite.
We were both invited and chose not to
Did
come.
you not get invited?
I did not get
You got
invited.
invited. You got
You've
invited.
gone hot with where mates.
No,
we
they
do
were
stuff
you
outside
were
the
both
club.
invited and you both didn't come.
Yeah, I didn't come.
I didn't go to Jake's Bucks though.
Yeah, that is fair.
Hibbo went and he did enough for all of us.
I think it was Hibbo's bucks, actually. It wasn't mine.
Hibbo's Bucks.
It was.
Do you know what Hibbo's?
Jeez, we could get Hibbo on and have an all.
We do. There's a photo wall at our club. You've both seen it, and it's like a photo of you, your family, and you're supposed to write 3 things about you. And like mine's like, love my family, love all things New Zealand, stoked to be in hospitality. Hibbo's is professional Bucks guy. He's a call-in Bucks attendee.
My God, couldn't have one without him.
Now, we were talking hubs before. Not sure if you...
I thought you were talking about how good friends you were.
Oh, yeah.
No.
We skipped over that bit.
You agree, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, he agrees. That's all I needed. We do, we have saunas together over there and play a bit of craft.
What, at the club?
No, but we do other things. We hung out in the bar. We went to a local Germana pizza bar.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
brilliant, guys.
What I want to get to is the hub.
Sure.
You broke that Andy Brayshaw is here for 2 months.
2 weeks. That's 2 weeks. As in weeks.
If Melbourne, touch wood, has some COVID issues over the next little bit, which it's pretty easy to get over the border these days, and we all hub it in Tasmania, you're 2 weeks away from the second kid that Cade Chandler broke on this very podcast.
Yes.
Almost like Angus almost broke my pregnancy news on the podcast as well.
Didn't get anywhere near doing that.
He did. I had to stop you.
I've seen the video.
What would happen? And can you break the Hugh Greenwood story, or you have to now because I've said his name? But
Yeah, so I'm going to break it
calling
now
your kid Hugh
anyway.
Greenwood, eh?
Yes, that's the moral of the story. But for obviously Gold Coast, I think have been told that they need to get to Melbourne ASAP.
Yep.
And Hugh Greenwood is a good friend of mine, and his partner is also good friends with my wife, and they're having their baby in the coming days, and he's been told that he has to get on the plane to come down. So I'm really not sure what's happening.
Yep.
Obviously, he's got to sort that out himself, but it's obviously a tough situation for him.
how would you play it? Because there's a chance you might have to play something.
Yeah, look, I think obviously in that situation, I think your family has to come first.
Yeah.
Aren't we your family though as well?
Yeah, you are. But
devil's
They've been
advocate.
there for one.
yeah,
They're all the
They're just
same.
yeah, but I don't think you can tell your kid that. So like, because the first one,
What's Hugh?
it's-
Hugh Greenwood's not going to understand. He's 1 day old. He doesn't know anything that's
Yeah,
coming.
sorry, Hugh Green was my kid. I forgot
Yeah.
to say, yeah.
Hugh Greenwood lever. Interesting name.
But I think, what about when they're older, Angus? Imagine if your old man said, yeah, sorry, man, I was...
Do you want to know the honest truth?
Yes.
Your old man wasn't at your birth.
Probably wouldn't bother me in the slightest if Sticks
Really?
if Sticks wasn't there.
Do we know if he was there?
He was
what
there
about-
for the next 21 years. Like
Yeah,
when I
but
was
what
there
about
on
if
the
he
day.
was there for everyone else's?
Oh, mate. Have you met Sticks?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
He was
yeah.
probably playing golf.
He probably are 50-50 chance he was playing
He was
golf.
on the putting green.
Putting away. Look. Look, you'll go through
Well,
something
no,
similar
because
because you're a...
I'm in October. Obviously, we've talked about this, and Derby Day is a great day of the calendar year, and
Yep.
I might get
If
caught
you're
up
hot
there.
on a quaddie, then...
Yeah, if I'm hot on a quaddie, I might struggle to get there. But
Yep.
surely, like, let's say it's Melbourne, Port Adelaide, which is a chance. Thursday night, Friday night, one of those blockbuster slots. We have to go to Adelaide to play it, and then we get locked down in Adelaide for a couple of days. So,
Jeez, Max, this
Why-
is doom and gloom.
Why would we get locked out in Adelaide?
I
So,
don't know.
so Adelaide would have to have like 0 cases because then we'd be allowed to go over there. And then all of a sudden, just overnight, they have 50 cases. That's the only reason I get locked out of Victoria. So I
Don't
think
worry,
rational.
Max. He's
I've thought of all this.
thought of this
It's-
through, mate.
would you? Last question on this.
Yep.
We get moved to the Sunny Coast Hub again
Yep.
this week. Would you change
Yep.
obstetricianist and take Jess up?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's a real late move.
Would you drive? Are you allowed to fly in your third trimester?
You are allowed
Great
to fly.
terminology.
Yeah.
I learned trimester the other day. Jess goes, I was
No worries,
sick
mate.
of me first trimester. I'm like, what's that?
No worries, mate. That's an Angus brain nugget
It is a brain nugget.
right there.
I think you can fly, but maybe not that late. So I'd have to drive. But I'd
Getting the
probably
new
do
Ford
that.
Raptor.
Yeah. No,
Would
not
you
Raptor.
fly and
Wild
Jess
Track
drive?
X, Angus.
Just
Would
drive.
you fly and Jess drive?
Yeah, that would probably be the option. Get Jace to just.
Oh, you fly with Jace as
Yeah,
well.
I'll fly
Just
with
put
Jace.
her,
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
you
that's fair.
drive. Like, get the whole family. It'd be good fun for them all to be together.
Yeah, that would be. That would be. But in the Wild Track X, I'd be able to do it.
Is it keeping
Real
you up
fast.
at night at the moment, all this?
No,
No.
not at all.
So you're a
sound
cool,
like you're
calm,
well
composed
prepared.
person.
Well prepared. Yep.
Um,
Pretty flexible too.
Yeah. Well, you saw how Jack Viney was able to handle the hub last year with Milo only, how old? 4 days?
Externally.
Yeah,
I went to his room a couple of times and he was actually crying when he answered the door. But yeah, externally he was good.
Speaking of handling it well, didn't you used to get your own room? In the hub where
yes.
there's a shortage of rooms,
Yes.
Jake had 2 because he didn't like sleeping with the baby.
That may be true, Angus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine having that much clout.
Yeah, so I've told my Jess that she's going to need to stay in the apartment
Yep.
all the time. It hasn't gone down well. Because I need sleep.
No,
I need
you-
sleep for like main training as well.
Yeah, but you need to move. Not you don't make
you
Jess
don't
and
move
the
the
baby.
family.
Yeah. Once you have the baby, mate, you understand that it's a suitcase full. Even if you want to just
How
go
many
away
diapers
for
a day?
night. I reckon early on,
Yeah.
probably 10 to 12. Yeah.
What's the point of even using him? Just
What's
put
the
him in
point
like a bathtub or something and, and then clean it up once at the end of the day.
What's the point of feeding them if they just bring it all out the
Oh,
rear
sorry,
end?
mate. I'm going to have to stop you there. What's
Yeah.
the point of feeding your kid?
One thing I learned today is they're born hungry.
Oh, I bet I would be too if I, you know.
No, but they're
hadn't eaten a
eating
solid meal
in the stomach, aren't they?
in the
They're getting fed
They're
through
getting
the
fed.
umbilical cord.
Yeah. So as soon as they come out, it's weird that they're hungry.
See, mate, that's not the weirdest thing I find about the whole
Really?
pregnancy experience.
There's a few more weird things.
A few things weird. Did you stand long on for the first one, or were you
No, I was
at point?
So I actually had a role to play.
What was your role?
I had a role because
Handholder.
Jess was getting quite hot.
Yeah.
So I had to get the
fanboy.
cold towels. But what happens is if you didn't know, when a person's hot and they use a cold towel, that towel then goes hot.
Yes.
So then you have to then redo the towel. So I had to run into the bathroom, water it, rinse it out, take it back. So that was my role.
Yep.
It actually took my mind off things.
I bet it did.
But it wasn't hard for me at all, to be honest. I don't know why I said mind off things. But
I've got a great story about former teammate, friend of the podcast, Matt Jones,
Sure.
was down the striker's end.
Yeah. Striker's end.
Striker's end.
Okay. Yep. Sorry. For a second there, I thought you were saying Matt Jones gave birth.
No.
Maybe.
He was down the striker's end, and he passed out with all the blood, so he was on the ground. And then Courtney, his wife, is having the kid, and Matt's on a stretcher next to Courtney. And there's two nurses treating Matt while there's two nurses with Courtney. Matt's got a little fan on him, just waving his head.
That would have went down real well, I reckon.
So do you mean non-strikers end?
No,
Yeah, non-strikers end.
Yeah.
non-strikers end.
Terminology, non-strikers end.
God, that's funny.
That's great chat. So I've 11 diapers.
Yeah,
I think you said 10 to 12.
yeah 10 to 12.
And I read in between the lines.
Round up, I reckon. You wouldn't want to be short a diaper.
No, you wouldn't.
How many feeds during the night?
Every 3 hours. So
Well, that's, and that's all well and good. I think we're probably going to steer clear of a lot more of this chat because it's probably like not a podcast topic. It's more like a year.
Well, I'm sure there's some
Next
people,
time you're in the sauna together, hanging out, doing
people wanting to know answers to this similar to me. Do you have to go to the class? You know, like there's this parents class.
I went to the
way.
class, but
You don't have to. Sorry, we've been this human species for 200,000 years. You think the class is
yeah.
really that necessary?
Yeah,
I got
I'll learn as
bullied
I
in the
go,
class.
surely.
100%. You just pick up. It's,
If I get the diaper wrong, I'll get some pretty strong feedback pretty
100%,
early.
you
The
get
poo
the
will be
nat-
running down the leg.
Yeah, 100%.
I got bullied in the class, so I wouldn't go.
Did you really?
Yeah, got bullied.
Who bullied you?
I will.
Jess.
Yeah, no, not Jess. The instructor lady. Yeah,
Just
she.
that mustache.
Did you go in with that mustache?
I went in with that mustache.
Yeah,
I think that's
probably-
why maybe she bullied me.
Intimidated her.
Yeah,
Probably
she was quite aggressive at me. So
So don't go, Max.
don't go.
We've hit our fans up. We were poor last week. Well, we weren't poor. We got caught up with the
Neil
Neil
Danaher's
Neil
good excuse.
Danaher presentation, and it was on a bye. We had 4 days off. COVID sort of hit, and we had to have an isolating day. But we gave them with a 50. I've got 56 minutes.
Yeah.
Would probably be 52 after the amount of stuff that you've said that we can't play.
Well, you gave me an answer about communism that I'm 100% sure.
I gave you an answer, a walk-up start about Lukosius, and you couldn't even get it right. What's his name? The guy from Gold Coast? Lukosius. Oh, Loquacious is the...
Forest crossings.
Forest crossing up in
Do you
North.
know what loquacious
You suck so much at
What
the
was
English
the word?
language.
What was the word?
Loquacious.
Loquacious.
No, got no idea.
Would you say it's angry, upset, beautiful, or chatty?
Chatty.
Yeah.
Oh,
See?
of course you would. You were sitting there eating your stupid lunch when we were doing it. Thanks for coming on, Rick. It was all good until you just ruined it at the end there. But
Jeez, you're very loquacious here to finish, aren't you?
I tell you what, it only took you 5 goes to get it right, but we're
He's
there
up,
now.
Gold Nugget.
You've really redeemed yourself, mate. You're a long way back.
All right, keep cup date before we
I'm
go.
saying goodbye to Rick.
We've got a keep cup date before we go.
a cup date.
A keep cup date. The 10 cups, we can announce our first 10 winners of the 10 keep cups. Have you got a keep cup? Drinking
Mine?
out. He's currently drinking out of a, of a non-recyclable coffee
You
cup.
want one?
I do want one. Yes.
All right, we can
All
hook
right,
you up.
we can
What
get you
number
one.
do you probably want? Number 8, don't you?
I want number 8. Yeah.
We can make that work. Unless Gibbo steals that one as well.
All right, these are our names. If I read out your name, it means you have won a Keep Cup.
If he butchers your name, that's because he can't speak English.
Bradley Joyner.
Yep.
Mason Keenan Cass.
Yep.
James Dellaporta. What a last name. Dellaporta.
Dellaporta, that's a hyphen in there. For
There's
those
a hyphen in
Towns
there.
player's name.
Kelly McNaughton. Heath Tudor.
Yep.
Emily or Emily?
Emily. Oh my God.
Well, have you seen Emily spelt like that?
No, I haven't, but it certainly isn't Emily.
Emili. Vasil.
Vasil.
Emily, come forward and collect your prize.
Emily.
Emily Harris.
Yep.
Michael Miller-Johns. Cameron Belzer. And Lynn Morgan.
Congratulations, you won yourself a Keep Cup.
Contact the club in regards to picking up the details. Do we have some sort of phone number for the club? Is there a generic phone number they'll be able to find?
They signed up to the
Oh,
competition.
yeah. So that's all I had to do. We'll have some more Keep Cups coming out soon. And yeah.
Well done. You've redeemed yourself, Rick.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, and I'll see you next week.
Nice jumper.
It is, isn't it?